And welcome, race fans, to another TRN special with the drivers of the Premium Stock Car Racing League. But tonight, we'll be running around here at the Dover International Speedway. Speedway. But yeah, it's a 1 mile track, concrete, and its nickname is the Monster Mile. One of the few tracks that I've been to in real life multiple times with my family. Obviously, so I got a small spot in my heart for it. Has had some great memories here. But right now, it looks like we have a 75 degrees outside with a track temperature of 106. So I expect to have some great racing. But tonight here in the booth with me is going to be the man from across the pond, my friend Mark Thomas. How you doing tonight, Mark? Yeah, and I mean, it's just one of those tracks because the banking is so high. I mean, it's extremely fast. You can see these trucks are getting around here in about 22 seconds. The whole field, we got 25 trucks out here, 24 trucks with times in right now, but they're only separated by about a half a second. And anything can happen here, especially during qualifying, as they get a couple laps. Right now, they're finishing up practice. Jordan Hand up top with Brian Underwood, Kenneth Cheney, Bryce Shoemaker, William Conley, Bernard Pearson, Landon Burbage, Dylan Carrier, Josh Kreider, and Stephen Shu for your top 10 in the practice session here. But they're going to be out here for a long time. 200 laps here at Dover tonight, and if they can keep it green and clean, I mean, it can make for serious, exciting racing. There's also pitch strategy involved here. Sometimes if you find your vehicles too tight, you can just take them right side tires. But obviously, if you need a full tank of fuel, that can make your truck looser as well. But so, how can these trucks kind of manage this front right tire? Because I know in the past, from the different races I've ran here, this track eats that front right tire.
To see how it all pans out and who's going to make the moves as it gets towards the end or towards the end of the pit stop strategy time frame. I think is probably the easiest way to explain it.
And excuse me for the technical difficulty as I had Mark kind of muted on my side, so that is totally on my fault, but he is now up and running. He should be loud and clear for everybody here tonight, as we worked out some of the microphone issues from last week, but Mark was emphasizing on how tough and how many times he actually ran around here. But right now we are in the qualifying time zone. Right now some of the drivers are out there trying to take the track to see what they can do and where they're going to start here tonight. But right now we're going to hop around in the number 17 there with Nicholas Hewer. So change his paint scheme up just a little bit this week as it was purple, but keeping that purple 17 alongside and looking to get in some nice times in here to start his night off.
That is an awful lot of chrome on there. I mean, that's shiny. I like it. But that's an awful lot of chrome. I don't think I've ever seen a completely chromed out truck before. I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah, it's almost at a point where it's mirrored in camouflage of the racetrack. Definitely looking to put in a decent time and pull the time good enough for sixth place with a 23.1. Kenneth Cheney able to take the provisional pole early on here in that 76 Chick-fil-A machine. See who else will get up there. Obviously, seeing another good showing from Jeffrey Goodpasser in that one XI truck with the second. Jordan Kreider in the 69 Subaru falling into 5th place here. So a lot of drivers out there trying to show what they got. We're in, a couple races into the season so far, and these guys are looking to make a name for themselves, looking to put themselves in that point championship. Especially after the plate track race, and now after last week at Vegas. And before we get started, we will pass on words from our track marshal. Leon, as he sends those every week to us, and we'll pass those on so that once these drivers are done with their qualifying. But right now, Kenneth Cheney out front over Jordan Hand, William Conley, Jeffrey Goodpasser, and Bryce Shoemaker.
Yeah, talking about the standings, Jimmy, I think we've, the current situation, just looking now over at the season standings, so far we have leading the championship with Bryce Shoemaker, followed by William Connolly, Dylan Carrier, Jeffrey Clinton, Jordan Hand, Joshua Kreider, Nick Hewer, Jeffrey Goodpasser, Blackwell, Donald Stewart. That makes the top 10 so far. It's looking pretty interesting. Bryce Shoemaker taking at the moment by what looks to be 100 total points, followed by William Connolly with 89, Dylan Carrier with 77, Jeffrey Clifton with 74, Jordan Hand with 73, Joshua Kreider with 72. So between 3rd and 7th, there is literally 4 points between the 4 of them. So it's incredibly tight between the 3rd to 7th plate battle.
Yeah, and that just shows the variety of drivers that we have out here. And we were on a plate track, and then we were at 1.5 miles, and now we're down to 1 mile. But this is a high boot mile. I mean, this is in the realm of the short track. I am by no means, you can ask a lot of drivers out there that I've ran with, I am not a short track fan. I have a extreme hard time managing my tires, so I fall off speed really quickly. And if I could ever get that underneath my belt, if it wrapped around my brain somehow, I might be in a competition to actually win something on a short track, but I cannot. And so that's why I kind of sway away from them. But after being going to this track as a kid, and being able to pick up iRacing, pick up the equipment, and hop out on the track like it was a real thing, it really is it's a touching moment. And when you can put one and one together, like I was here physically and now I'm actually on the track. Oh yeah, it's in a virtual car, but these tracks are laser scanned and they're about as close as you can get to most simulations out there. But right now, qualifying is about done. It looks like Kenneth Cheney is going to have that pole position as qualifying is now wrapped up. So 19 drivers of the 25 putting laps in. We are going to go ahead. I will run down the grid here really quick before we give the words from our Grand Marshal. Go here, our qualifying list right here. We'll run down real quick. Will be Kenneth Cheney on the pole with Jordan Hand in 2nd, Brian Underwood in 3rd, William Conley in 4th, Jeffrey Goodpasser in 5th, Noah Blackwell in 6th, Bryce Shoemaker in 7th, Josh Kreider in 8th, Dylan Carrier in 9th, 10th is Landon Burbage, 11th is Jordan Kreider, 12th is Marcus Cunningham, 13th is Jeff Clifton, 14th Nicholas Hewer, 15th is Melvin Beringer, 16th is Steven Shue, 17th is Chris Parkman, 18th is Jeffrey Ledford. And then the rest of the field, we'll fast forward ahead just a little bit and get the remaining drivers here. As the 19th driver will be Keith Shoemaker, 20th will be Bernard Pearson, 21st will be Jason Spear, Bryant Lucas in 22nd, Nathan Brookover in 23rd, Danny White in 24th, and Farrell Robbins in 25th. So before we go any farther or I talk any more, here's your words of wisdom from our Grand Marshal, Leon.
Hey, this is Lonnie Kreider, your Grand Marshal tonight. What happened in Vegas last week stays in Vegas last week. So we're at Dover Speedway racing tonight. So gentlemen, Start those engines and let's go racing.
So great words from Leon there. Start the engines as these drivers get ready to take the field here, as they are now entering pit lane here, getting ready to go green here shortly. So going into this race, Mark, 200 laps here at Dover. What is your mindset initially?
Survive. That would be my only concern right now, would be to survive. Avoid as many of the incidents as possible. I'm not saying that this is going to be a caution fest, but it is quite easy for the race to become one around here. The banking's so steep that if you get caught at the top, it's very easy for you to drop down and take cars with you. So for at least the first half of the race, my main concern, tyre conservation and survival. After, I would expect a caution once people start pushing and they're trying to gain places back. That's when you can start maybe trying to work your way back through the field. But until then, I'd want to be slightly higher than mid-pack, but just not with the front-running guys, because they're probably going to be quite aggressive and try and make a break away from the rest of the pack. But I would like to be like top third of the field and just try and find myself a nice groove and a running partner and just tick the laps away as quickly as I can. Truck's coming around with a green flag drop. Good start there from Ken Chaney, absolutely launching it from the start line. Takes it straight down to the bottom. Brian Underwood tucking in behind. Looking like everybody's away clean. There doesn't seem to be any major issues. Good pass to slotting himself into third. Very clean run from these top three. Look like they're trying to make a little bit of a break. Kenneth Chaney, Underwood right close behind him. Pastor dropped into third. Looking back here at Noah Blackwell, who's got a little chain behind him. William Connolly. Looks like Jordan Ham behind Connolly, just waiting.
Yeah, definitely starting to settle out, but going single file. First three drivers are trying to take off. So Brian Underwood, Kenneth Chaney, and Kenneth. Oh, but we have our under caution, our first caution of the night, and it looks like it's back here with Marcus Cunningham. So we'll see what we see back here. Go above, right on top of Marcus Cunningham, as it looks like he gets in the back of the two, which would be Landon Burbage.
I think that was a little check up from the two, because whoever was in front of him checked up just a fraction. The two checked up to try and avoid going into the back of him, and I think the 34 just didn't quite get it slowed down in time. Looked like the gentlest of taps, but as we were saying around here, it's so easy to do. And then another little touch from the 7, just unable to bring it down and get it out of the way.
Yeah, so a few trucks wrapped up in that first incident. Marcus Cunningham, Landon Burbage, Bryant Lucas, Marcus Cunningham, Farrell Robbins, Bryant Lucas again, and Farrell Robbins. It just, involved in some way, shape, or another, whether it was getting hard on the brakes or getting a nice love tap. But the one taking the brunt of that one will be Marcus Cunningham. So caution laps fly at lap 5, but Brian Underwood out front over with Kenneth Chaney and Jeffrey Goodpaster. So hoping that we don't see a race filled of cautions, as that is not what these drivers would like to see. But right now, everybody's staying out as they're catching up to the Page truck. I see a couple of people obviously wrapped up in those incidents, coming down into the pits. And if I wasn't mistaken, do they have a tire limitation here in this league?
I do not know, actually, Jimmy. I'm unaware. I will see if I can find the Discord and see if I can find out exactly what the tire limitations are here for tonight.
It might be under info too. If I don't usually, see, I'll hit empty this out. Bring up the HUD real quick and bring up this info list to see if they have Let's see, they have an 18x instant count before they have to do a drive-through. 28 before they're DQ'd. 200 laps. Not seeing anything on tires here in the info. But right now we are on lap 6 of 200, so many laps remaining. And you know, if this is any sign of how the race is going to be here tonight, it will be a run for survival, as 200 laps, even though they only take about 20 seconds to get around here, can start stretching out to a very long time. As you can see, one lap will now equal over a minute. It's almost 3 times the amount of time to get around here. So we'll see if these drivers can clean it up, but it looked nothing but just like racing around other drivers and checking up a little bit too late for another truck getting that 34 around. So we'll see if the 34 can bounce back, as it looks like he's still on the lead lap. Steven Shu is now a lap down, and it looks like Jeffrey Goodpaster is out, along with Bernard Pearson, Jason Spear, and Danny White. So a few drivers dropping out early. I'm really kind of surprised to see Jeffrey Goodpaster stepping this one out so early, as the last 2 races he was in really good shape in the points.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shock to me as well. As I say, I'm just going to flick back to the current standings, and Jeffrey Goodpaster has been running 8th, or is currently running 8th in the series. So, yeah, it's a little strange to be trying to drop out. I would have thought that any points would be good points, but I don't want to get too distracted. It looks like we're back and running again.
They're definitely back and running again. Brian Underwood out to the lead, takes a nice jump over Kenneth Cheney, and William Conley taking that number 77 truck out to the front, showing him that he needs to be up here. He wants to win this thing. The 25 of William Conley showing a lot of presence last week as well. Currently sitting in that 3rd position, and back and forth is Noah Blackwell, Josh Kreider, and back in 5th. Jordan Hand back in 6th. Dylan Carrier in 7th, and he is the actual owner of Carrier Motorsports. So let's not get it twisted. He's the man that has pretty much half the field, I think, with his name stamped in the back, helping all the drivers out here doing what they like to do. Also, back here, I think some good battling going on. Just kind of throughout the field, just a single file. This is the way it needs to go. Just kind of settle in, find your groove, make your passes when you can. But like we said, I talked about it a little bit earlier, it's kind of conservative tires, because after about 10 or 15 laps, these tires really start to go and really start, you know, not liking really hard inputs. A little bit of too wide here up front. It looks like the 5 and who is that on the outside? Oh, so Josh Kreider falling back to 5th. As Noah Blackwell has gotten by in that 88.
Yeah, that was a bold move there from Noah Blackwell, trying to go around the outside of Josh. That's not an easy move to pull off when somebody's running that low line, but you can, as we saw last week, the high line can work if you can keep the momentum, but the trouble with running the high line around here is that it's very, very tough on the tyres. It's very, very aggressive on that right side. You don't want to run it too much, because it will wear your tyres out slightly quicker than if you run that low line. It's a lot of time to keep pressure on those tyres. I've tried to run the high line here before, and it can and does give you a continuation. What's the easiest way to describe it? It's quite difficult. It enables you to carry that momentum around the top, so you don't have to drop so much pace as if you go around the bottom, and it does give you a better run off the corner. But it can make those front tyres and the right side tyres in general wear really, really hard.
Yeah, so Jeff Clifton made a move on the 29 of Jeffrey Ledford, getting by, also looking to make a pass there on Nicholas Ewer, but not too far up in front of him, as they are too wide here, as the 88 of Noah Blackwell is on the outside of the 20 of Jordan Hand, looking to take another position away using the high side, and it looks like he's able to do just that. And then back there, and one more up for Dylan Carrier, looking to take the 6th place away from Jordan Hand as well. So Jordan Hand falling back a little bit from the start, but Brian Underwood, up 2 spots from where he started, finding himself in that all-important lead right now with roughly a 1 second gap over Kenneth Cheney.
Pretty good display here. He's running that truck not on the very bottom, but on that low to mid line, making it work for him. It looks like he's actually pulling out like maybe a tenth of a second on lap on the guys behind him. Obviously feeling very, very comfortable in the truck right now with Kenny Cheney and William Connolly working together. Looks like they might be trying to chase him down. William Connolly, the smallest fraction behind Kenneth Cheney. Those two absolutely drafting themselves around with a little bit of a cap in to Josh Kreider and Jordan Hand with Noah Blackwell in hot pursuit.
And you're going to see that here on these shorter tracks. It looks like some of the slower cars back in the backfield on the backstrip right now. But they're the 77 entering in one right now as they go through here. Kind of let the field go by as you can kind of see where your favorite driver is running currently. But they are pretty much a single file all the way through. The only driver I see doing any kind of maneuvering was Jordan Kreider in a 69 as they went by. Looking to get by, and it looks like he did. He got by the one of Jeff Clifton there on that lap. So Jordan looking to continue his march forward as he's currently in 8th spot.
I did catch a very brief glimpse of one of the trucks at the very back of the field. It was green. I can't remember who it was. It might be. I can't tell who it was because there are trucks in here that are a lap down or so. So it's very difficult to tell. But it had no front end. There was no front end in this truck. We saw that again last week, and we know that that's not good for aero. Not that you need much aero here. It's not one of those. It's not a very high speed. High downforce where you need that aero to make the truck work, but it really does help.
Now your biggest friend here at Dover is the tires, and if you can save those things, they can take you a long way. But these drivers are doing a good job here so far after their first incident early on, but currently on lap 21 of 200, so making their way around here early here tonight. But right now Brian Underwood has out to a 1.6 second lead over Kenneth Cheney, then back to William Connolly, and for P number 3, then Josh Kreider, Jordan Hand, Dylan Carrier, Noah Blackwell, Jordan Kreider, Jeff Clifton, Jeffrey Ledford for your top 10.
That was a little. I think that was just a little love tap there from the Subaru truck into the wall. Just the faintest of glances. It's something you can kind of get away with at Dover, but you don't want to do it. Okay, that was a slightly bigger love tap.
He said, "Hold my beer." I'll show you a book.
I'm trying to keep it PG-13, so I'm just going to leave it a love tap. Otherwise, there would be a few other words that I would use to that. But this is the point now that we were talking about where those tyres are now going to start complaining. They're not happy about being out there. These guys are. I'm not saying that they're pushing, but it's very difficult when you're in the groove with drivers in front of you and drivers behind you. You have to maintain some kind of speed. You can't just you can't just back off and cruise around the track like you have no worries. You have to try and push. And now those tyres are going to start complaining about being in that situation.
Yeah, it really, sucks when your tires start complaining to you, and one of the ways they complain to you is make you know that the outside barrier is there for sure, and makes you adjust your braking point so you don't do that again. Because if you do hit these walls hard enough, you can give yourself enough damage to get yourself a black flag, and it's definitely not what that 69 of Jordan Kreider wants to have here tonight, especially this early in the race. But right now on lap 26 of 200, Brian Underwood continues to expand his lead. Actually, it looks like it's kind of mellowing out just a little bit as Kenneth Cheney might be starting to kind of hold him at bay and maybe start reeling him back in. So maybe Brian Underwood burning up them tires a little bit earlier than he wanted to try to keep that lead. But right now he's doing a great job of maintaining that lead out front. So right now, everybody is pretty much single file. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the interval It's going to be another line outside of the gap number there, and you can kind of tell by the drivers. If it's orange, they're kind of within passing range, and there's like some sort of battle going on. If it's yellow, they're in between a half a second and a second, and if they're white, they will be basically within a second or more. So the orange, it says some kind of pass can happen, so it lets you viewers at home know that maybe something is going on. I adjusted the tower for you viewers out there a little bit, made the background a little bit darker, so hopefully you're able to view the white lettering just a little bit better. I also increased the font size just a little bit, ever so slightly. I don't want to take up too much screen, so I'm sure you want to see plenty of the racing. But right now, the 84 and the 1 are doing great battle back here for P number 9.
Not only P number 9, but if we look over for P number 4 and 5, they are absolutely going at it, hammer and tong. As soon as I say that was a little bit of a squeeze up there from Josh Kreider, just trying to let Jordan Hand know that, look, I'm here. Please don't get in my way. And with William Connolly. Josh dropping down straight out of the William Connolly slipstream, making that bottom line work. That was a sweet little undertake from there. Connolly actually trying to make it work around the outside for now, but it looks like Jordan Hand trying to follow Josh Kreider through. This is getting a bit spicy up the front. Maybe Josh thinks that he's got a little something for Cheney and Underwood in front, and he wants to try and pull some kind of gap out between the two of them.
They're taking advantage of maybe the other drivers burn up their tires a little bit. You can see the interval dropping between Brian Underwood and Kenneth Cheney, now down to a second as it turns to yellow. So second place closing in on first. I'm sure not too much longer we're going to see some sort of battle for the lead as Kenneth Cheney continues to track down Brian Underwood in that 76 to take away the lead from the 77 of Brian Underwood. We'll go back and watch plenty of racing throughout the field. Back here, looks like Bryce Shoemaker in ninth spot, looking to go underneath the 69 for P number 8. Just barely getting it done. And it takes a lot of work. You go down to that lower line, and to keep the truck down there, you're off the throttle, on the throttle, but you have to, if there's a car near outside, or excuse me, a truck on the outside, you can't get too heavy in the gas to get a great exit, which kind of hinders sometimes using that outer line. But right now the low line looks like the line to be, especially if you have the better tires and you can keep that truck down there. And a little bit farther back in the let's see, there's a couple cars back to 17.
Subaru back into the wall again. Definitely starting to struggle with a little bit of tire wear, or so it looks like, the 69. But it's Jordan Kreider, I think, suffering from a little bit of that tire being used a little early. It's now starting to. It looks like it's starting to complain a bit.
Yeah, and it could be just missing his mark just ever so a little bit. It's hard to see behind another truck trying to get around here, using what little draft that you can use around here. It doesn't play a huge role around here as you're able to stretch a lead out by yourself, but it does play a pretty good role. If you can hug behind somebody, you can actually save a little bit of fuel. But you can see the 8 pulling it up on the 17 of Nicholas Hewer. So Chris Parkman doing a great job. Currently up 5 spots. So doing a great job getting that 8 nationwide truck up there into that position here tonight. See who's having troubles so far. Actually, it looks like Jeffrey Goodpasser has made it back out. So I'm wondering if he had some computer issues early on there, Mark, and is able to come back out here. He's only 2 laps down to the field, so I'm sure he's hoping for some cautions before anybody else goes a lap down. Go up here to Brian Underwood, look in front of him. We'll hop on his nose and see. You can see he has 2 more drivers in front of him that he would like to put down. So Jeffrey Goodpasser just kind of in a bad spot, but if he hangs in there and an incident happens here and there and he gets a little bit of help, he can find himself right back in the thick of things. But the 77 of Brian Underwood coming up on some traffic, so Looks like he is trying to get around a Nathan Brookover as his first driver here, and it looks like he's going to stay high and let that 77 go low. So let's switch cameras so you can see the maneuver that Brian is going to need to make. You know, these trucks, you know, they're not going to just let them go by unless they're really off pace. But you can see the 7 kind of using a higher line, leaving plenty of room for Brian to get around, but then tires being worn, he's not able to get around as fast, I'm sure, as he wants to, but is finally able to kind of pull up just a little bit. Nope, not quite, as he backs off just a little bit to allow the 7 to regain control of that truck as he was trying to get out that corner. But caution flies here at lap 41.
Yeah, I think that's a stage break, Jimmy.
You are right.
Yeah, I thought that might have been a situation. I could see that Brian Underwood had closed the pit entrances a couple of laps ago, but it looked like the stage rate was coming out. But I honestly thought that Underwood was going to go for the move. But I think it was a very sensible manoeuvre to just wait there where he was and not put the back marker into any kind of bad situation. But now we come to the point of now everybody has to slow up in time to make it down and get themselves into the pit lane.
So Brian Underwood,
we're going to see all about the pit strategy.
Yeah, Brian Underwood, Kenneth Cheney, Jordan Hand, Josh Kreider, William Conley, Noah Blackwell, Bryce Shoemaker, Dylan Carrier, Jeff Clifton, and Chris Brookman for your top 10 before that stage break. But yeah, currently now in the as they come down, and you know, and it catches me off guard sometimes. I've broadcasted a lot of races, Mark, and a lot of times they don't throw in the stage breaks very often, but it is a nice little break here for these drivers, you know, to kind of come down in here and you know, get fresh fuel, tires, and get back out there and do another great run. They had one caution prior to that, but this here is setting the stage for the remainder of the race, as right now, or you know, just completed lap 43. Plenty more racing to go as we continue our race here at Dover. But Brian Underwood, winner of the stage break, and back out, still in the lead over Kenneth Cheney. So I'm just kind of curious, you know, on Brian's part, you know, was able to kind of walk away there for a while. But then, you know, Kenneth Cheney started closing up there towards the end. I'm wondering if Brian is going to take a different approach on how to use his initial tires.
I'm not so sure. To be honest, I think this could be kind of interesting now, because is it going to be a case of Brian Underwood has decent short run pace and Kenneth Cheney has that good long run pace to him? I mean, these kind of situations that make these short tracks that much more interesting, because you're kind of in two minds. Yeah, you want to make that long run work, but at the same point, you also, it'd be useful if you can get out there and pull yourself away from the rest of the field at the very beginning.
Yeah, I just kind of curious on what their thoughts are. You know, always as a driver, kind of curious what goes through other drivers' mind, and we get to see here firsthand on how he's going to handle that. But going through the field here, Brian Underwood, Kenneth Cheney, Jordan Hand in at 20, William Conley in the 25, Noah Blackwell in the 88, the NGB Designs, Bryce Shoemaker in another Firestorms racing truck, Josh Kreider, I Am Speed, Rub It Up Productions, Dylan Carrier, one of the Carrier Motorsports trucks, Jeff Clifton in the one Mahindra truck, Chris Parkman in the Nationwide 8 truck, Nicholas Hewer in the Chrome 17 tonight, Jordan Kreider in the Viagra Subaru 69, Melvin Behringer in the number 9 Columbia truck, Landon Burbage in the Carrier Motorsports number 2, Keith Shoemaker in the Tracker W45, Farrell Robbins in the Busch Light number 4 truck, Grant Lucas in the Folgers number 6, Jeffrey Ledford in the 29 Mountain Dew Throwback Scheme, Marcus Cunningham in Eat Florida Watermelon. I will agree with Marcus, as Florida Watermelon when it's in season is very good, as I live down here. Nathan Brookover in the 7 DeWalt truck. Jeffrey Goodpasture in the 1X truck, now only 1 lap down. Steven Shu in the Unidonkey 85. Danny White, Bernard Pearson, and Jason Spear are not on the track, but look forward to seeing them maybe next week as these drivers are getting ready to go green yet again as the lights are off on the pace truck going down into turn number 3.
I'm curious to see whether or not Brian Underwood will get one of these rocket starts that he seems to be so capable of, and whether or not Kenneth Chaney will actually is just letting him go so that he can tuck him behind, or whether it's just a case of Brian Underwood just manages to get these starts absolutely dialed in. The low line being a big help here.
The green flag is out. Brian Underwood has taken off. He has moved up to the high side. He will take the lead going into turn number 1.
Looking very, very good, actually, is Mr. Underwood. Kenneth Chaney and Jordan Hand absolutely going at it, looking by the looks of it, hammer and tongue for that second place. It's a little early to be going to this aggressive, this fast, but I mean, hey, I'm not the one driving out there. It's not for me to say. I'm just passing on a personal opinion.
I mean, that's what it is out here. I mean, we do our best. We've been out here. We've ran our time around here. The 20 of Jordan Hand getting underneath that 77, using them tires to his advantage, cutting off the 77 to take the lead here. But the 76 is now in third. Kenneth Chaney, then you have William Conley, Jeff Clifton, William Conley, Josh Crider, Noah Blackwell, Bryce Shoemaker, Dylan Carrier, and Nicholas Hewer for your top 10.
It looks like these two are going to go. And who's this going around the outside? Is that Jeff Clifton? I see absolutely trying to make that outside work earlier on. I believe it is. Wow, bold. He's making it work though. All credit where it's due. He is making outside work and apps putting a huge amount of pressure now onto the top 2.
Yeah, he's definitely using He's using them tires to his advantage right now and making them work, and it can pay off in the short run, and hopefully he's able to ease off, fall into a spot that he is enjoying. But another driver using that outside to his advantage right now is also Josh Crider, so looking to move forward using that outside, kind of maybe getting hung up there along with Dylan Carrier. So those gentlemen are doing the best they can with what is provided to them, and you're not trying to just give up positions. Oh, the 84 gets back into the 88. There's going to go around, and that's going to be a caution here on lap 51.
Now this is going to be interesting because now this is going to allow the guys who have been running so hard to just take it a little bit down on those tires, just to let them cool off just the smallest fraction. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think for me it's too early to come in for another set. They can't have done many laps since they've already been out, but all depending on fuel now. But do you take a splash and do you top up with fuel?
I mean, there's a lot of racing left. 84 getting into the 88 after the 88 had to check up, so he's scooting back up the track. 9 nowhere to go, gets into the 84, puts the 84 up to the side. 84 was down on the bottom, kind of slid back up to the track. Unfortunately, whether he get it slowed down or not, but that's unfortunate there for the 84 and the 9. And the best point right here is just for those two trucks to just lock it up, wait for things to kind of go through. You can see the 34 coming to a stop to avoid the collision. There's nothing you can do. You just kind of sort it out as quickly and easily as possible. Let vehicles get around. Looks like the 84 is going to try to spin around. The 9 is going to start going. The 7 kind of hanging in there a little bit. Not 85. Not quite sure what the 84 wants to do. Kind of interesting here. There's a few drivers that are really stopped waiting for that 84 to try to sling it around, as the banking is really hard to kind of get that truck to do what it wants. But right there's the pace car. Yeah, so rough start there for a few drivers. Is going to mix things up just a little bit. A few trucks involved, obviously, in the pits. Noah Blackwell, Marcus Cunningham, Bryce Shoemaker, and Melvin Behringer. So maybe not necessarily caught up 100% in the wreck, but want to get those damages taken care of as much as possible. Come in the pits, get the damage taken care of, go out, go around, come back in the pits, get some damage taken care of, go back, catch up. And you can do this a few times before you go back to green. But Jordan Hand able to let them tires cool down. Now the question is, how much did Jordan Hand destroy them tires using that outside inside maneuvers in order to put his truck out front? And will this time allow them tires to come back down to like an appropriate temperature, and then he can get a nice jump there on the 77 and continue with his lead here? So we'll see what kind of work those few laps previously Jordan Hand with the tire situation. But in either case, he's out front right now over Brian Underwood, Jeff Clifton, Kenneth Cheney, William Connolly for your top 5.
Yeah, Hand being out front with Underwood being on the outside. I'm going to be curious to see that exactly how Underwood manages to stay with him off the start, whether or not Underwood has just been able to control the field and get a really good jump start, or whether or not it's just that inside line has been working so well. But the other person who I'll be slightly concerned about when it comes to tyres was Jeff Clifton, who had been running so hard to make his way from, I wouldn't say far back, but from further back to up into third. He had looked to me like he'd been putting a lot of strain on those tyres too. So I would think that Clifton is probably quite happy where they are right now, and he's looking forward to that restart. And I would imagine that when that green flag drops, he is going to be extremely close to Jordan Hand, not wishing to let him go and to put himself in between Hand and Underwood.
Yeah, it's going to be a good restart here, as the lights are currently off on the pace truck as they're entering down into turn number 1, but led by Jordan Hand and Brian Underwood. So we are now lap 55 of 200 here at Dover International Speedway with the Firestorm Racing for these gentlemen here for the PSRL series, so the Premier Stock Car Racing League. It continues to run races, and I believe next week, if I'm not mistaken, let's see what's on the schedule while we're kind of waiting for things to happen here. Too many schedules in my head to know them all off the top of my head. Oh, we're going to be visiting Eldora. Still laps to be determined, but it's always good to see some of these old vehicles go to the to a dirt track and test their hand on great races there on a dirt track like Eldora. But Jordan Hand to the low side, pace truck is in, ready to go green. Let's see how Jordan handles this start, as it looks like he gets a nice start, but not sleeping at the wheel tonight is Brian Underwood. Gets an outstanding start on that outside. Can Brian Underwood use that momentum? And it looks like he's going to be able to power around that 20 on the outside.
That was quite a manoeuvre from Underwood, I have to admit. That was impressive off the start. Now, was it because Underwood had managed to save those tyres without driving so aggressive, or is Jordan Hand going to immediately make the comeback after he's got a bit of temp in? It looks like a little bit like Jordan's trying to get that truck a little bit slowed up, dropping a little bit away from Underwood. So we'll have to just wait and see exactly what the situation is. But it looks like Underwood is trying desperately to make that break early on.
He's trying to get out there, give him that clean air that he wants. The lack of pressure on the back bumper is always nice, especially here at Dover, as everybody else is, single file. Jordan Hand, Jeff Clifton, Kenneth Cheney, William Connolly, Josh Kreider, Dylan Carrier, Landon Burbage, Nicholas Hewer, Chris Parkman for your top 10, and Jordan Kreider, Jeffrey Ledford, Keith Shoemaker, Bryant Lucas, Jeffrey Goodpasser, Marcus Cunningham, Noah Blackwell, Bryce Shoemaker, Farrell Robbins, Nathan Brookover, Melvin Behringer, and Stephen Shu for your 22 truck field that is still remaining here. And, we talked about Jeffrey Goodpasser kind of being a couple laps down, but currently now on the lead lap working his way back up to the field in 15th spot.
Yeah, I can imagine that Goodpass is absolutely loving this right now. I've got to admit, I think I would be, because he's now back on the lead lap and trying to push his way back into the top half of the field. This is going to be working for him. All of these cautions are going to help him to pick off the cars that he needs to do to get back into the contention for the top 10. But it does look like he's actually making good progress as we look through. He's putting in some pretty decent laps, to be honest. 23.15 was his last lap around here. It looks like 23.15 is his best lap, which judging by the rest of the field, looks like it's by a couple of tenths one of the quickest in the field.
Okay, so don't count Jeffrey out. Plenty of racing left, as we talked about earlier. We're working on lap 62 at 200, but Brian Underwood is out front, controlling the field right now. It looks like Jeffrey Goodpasser is going for the low side, or looking at the low side of that 69, trying to get around Jordan Kreider, and followed by the Folger 6 machine. Who is that? Bryant Lucas. Still trying to get to remember everybody's names. Look at Jeffrey Goodpasser going on the high side of the 69.
He's taking them low, he's taking them high. It doesn't look like he cares. He just wants past. That was beautifully clean, well done, well calculated, and now he can slide back into his own groove and focus on the car in front. But before we focus too much on Jeffrey Goodpasser himself, it looks like those top four have suddenly closed back up. I'm looking at the interval and it's all oranges and reds. So it looks like the top four are well within range of each other.
Yeah, they're definitely doing what they need to do. We'll go ahead and hop on board on top of Dylan Carrier, as he is in the back of that pack. We'll follow Dylan around here for a few laps. Just kind of watch as the top four are trying to keep each other in tow around here, and you can see that's so close. We're at an angle off the roof here, and where I can really see the bumper here of the 76, and it's so close as these two trucks run around, but doing a great job of not getting into the 76. And this is what it takes, when the drivers come around here, race after race, week in, week out, they know, how you can drive around each other. Me and Mark have driven for years around each other in multiple different series, so we know that we can go side by side, and the corners or turns that nobody else would even think about going side by side, and it's just the respect of each other, giving each other room to race. And I like to race, and I know Mark does, corner by corner, not necessarily just trying to do fast laps around every single track. But you see Dylan Carrier getting into that wall just ever so slightly, kind of backed him up just a little bit, as you see he lifted to catch, but not falling out, but still sitting in that pit spot, looking onward to the top four.
Yeah, Dylan pushing really hard there. It looks to stay with Kenneth Cheney. It looks like Kenneth Cheney's actually starting to close down a bit on Jeff a little bit. And as we were talking about earlier, I think Cheney might have a little bit of a long run truck. He seems to be taking care of those tyres. His truck doesn't seem to be drifting up the track as much as some of the other guys in front of him. So maybe, I'm going to have words with him afterwards and see how he's managing to make those tyres work for that period of time. Definitely. I mean, he's just holding that bottom line, and he's holding it perfectly. So I think he's got that truck dialed in for the long run, which I think is going to work to his benefit as the race goes on. And we did see him later on in the first run be able to work his way up towards Underwood as the laps were ticking down. Obviously making that truck work slightly better on the distance.
Yeah, some drivers are better at just being, they might not have like a short sprint speed, but are very, very, very consistent, and which allows them to have great finishes for most races. And a lot of times, if you get especially a long green run, it will put you in that position of winning or get in podiums, as you can see. And the Cheney using that underside, getting by Jeff Clifton for a nice pass there. Now on his sights for Jordan Hand, that is in second. So he's got a little work to do. He doesn't want to push it. He has a 2-second interval to the leader. And I believe the interval between him and Jordan Hand is a 1.5 seconds. So he's got a little bit of time, but I don't think anything that you'll see Kenneth like in the truck to burn up his tires, as there's plenty of racing remaining. You know, we're not quite at the halfway mark. We're at lap 73 of 200. Brian Underwood out front by a second over Jordan Hand. Then back here to Kenneth Cheney, Jeff Clifton, Dylan Carrier, William Conley, Landon Burbage, Chris Parkman, Josh Kreider, Jeffrey Ledford, and Jeffrey Goodpasser, and that one Exide truck just working his way to the field like no tomorrow. Obviously, with that bad start in the beginning is not what he wanted, but making his way through the field to show that he belongs in the front, taking advantage of some of the situations that happened on the track. But then back to Jeffrey Ledford in 11th, Nicholas Hewer, Bryant Lucas in 12th and 13th, Jordan Kreider and Bryce Shoemaker 14th, 15th, Marcus Cunningham in 16th and 17th, Nathan Bookover in 18th, Keith Shoemaker in 19th, Farrell Robbins up 2 spots, sitting in 20th position, and then Melvin Behringer down 6 spots right out the race he wanted to start with, or wrap up in an incident earlier. This found himself in 21 position, and then back here in 22nd will be Stephen Shu. So, you know, Stephen had a fairly decent speed during practice, getting involved in an early incident. Has found himself here towards the back of the truck, or back of the track, not truck. Just doing a good job, you know. And I'll keep saying it, and it's true that you can win championships on your worst nights. You know, so if your worst night is a 22nd place, but you're out there and you finish, it might be the point or extra point you needed to go over the top or win yourself that championship. So don't give up early. If you make a mistake, get back out there, earn as many points as possible, keep the field going. But right now there is 22 trucks out of 25 on the track, and it looks like 20 of those are on the lead lap. Farrell Robbins being the 20th truck in that last lap, or last truck on the lead lap, and it's going to be a while before that 77 catches him. But right now we are on lap 79 of 200, and it's just been a pretty good race here so far, Nerd Mark.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Considering that we thought that this might have a few more cautions than what I was expecting, I think that they've done absolutely superb. It's been a great race, some very clean racing. And as we were talking about earlier, it's not easy to race that clean here around Dover. The pitch of the track itself is quite aggressive, so it makes it difficult to keep your line and to hold it 100% steady. Also, with the huge amount of tyre wear, it's very easy to drift up into somebody if you overshoot your entry, or you get onto the gas a little bit early and you come up off of the exit. It's very easy to make those simple mistakes, but all of these drivers actually being very aware of what's happening around them and giving just that little bit of racing room to each other just makes for some superb racing. Absolutely brilliant. And I've been trying to keep an eye on the lead and the times of the guys running up top, and it's been a bit up and down, to be honest with you. Brian Underwood has been around that 24/7 mark, and same as Jordan Hand, they've been around that 24/7 mark, and Kenneth Cheney kind of pulled back for a little bit, then dropped back a little bit further, then came back up again. It's to and fro, while I think that these tyres settle themselves into what they consider like the race groove.
Yeah, and they're trying to float around here. They know that they have 100 plus laps remaining, and they know how well these tires will wear out here. And right on board with Chris Parkman using the gyro cam just to kind of give everybody at home kind of the ability to see the banking here at the Monster Mile as he works his way around here, as he goes underneath that truck there. But doing a great job here. Currently in 7th position, trying to work his way front, and that's the 24 of Dylan Carrier that he's trying to get that next position. But using that low side, Dylan's up on the high side. But yeah, just the pitch and roll here from the gyro cam is just amazing. But I think the whole time in the car, I think they're at least 5 to 10 degrees. You know, they get in that banking, then they're in the 20s. So it's just quite amazing how high this banking actually is.
Yeah, Chris Parkman actually making that low line undertake look pretty easy, which is impressive all on its own, because I never seem to be able to make that work. I've tried that a few times, and I just feel the front of the truck just pushing and pushing and pushing, and I can't get onto the gas, and the guy on the outside line just manages to go on that gas earlier and just keep me down on the bottom until I feel hemmed in, and I can't do anything. So between good pasta and
caution
Parkman
is out.
Oh,
Jeffrey Ledford? Oh, Jeffrey just coming up into the 34. Hooks himself. They get together right in front of the 88. Looks like the 29 is on the brakes. Will he stay up on the wall? Allow the 7 to get by. We'll wait a second or two, see if anybody else gets into him. But it just looks like the 34 and the 29 kind of getting wrapped up. And looks like some smoke flying from the 29. So unless the truck is still started, he might have to go. It looks like he has the wheels cranked ready to get turned around. As I will speed this
I
back
think
up.
he's gonna. Yeah, he jumped that to the pits. That looked like he was dead.
Yeah, so the 29 and having to tow here on a lap 88 of 200. But as you can tell, everybody taking this to their advantage, coming down here into pit lane, trying to get things sorted out. Looks like Nathan Brookover is going to go ahead and stay out, along with Noah Blackwell is in the pits now. Brian Underwood coming out of the pits with Cheney. The 20, the 25, the 1, the 8, 25, the 5. Always see the fun, see them watching them trying to race off a pit lane as they get back on the track here for cautions.
But that's scary at Dover as well, because it's a tight little pit exit here. I wouldn't want to be too wide when we come out of here. There's a big old bump as you come onto the track as well, just before you reach the blue line. Yeah, no thanks very much. Yeah, if anything, I'm going to let, if the guy really wants past me, he can have it. I mean, because I don't, yeah, no thank you.
But 20 cars still in the lead lap. I think Jeffrey Ledford was able to. Now he's 2 laps down. But Jeffrey Ledford and Steven Chu is still working on getting some of their laps back. Obviously, got to come down to pits and take their tires and fuel. But Brian Underwood able to maintain the lead underneath them. Caution pit stops there. Over Kenneth Cheney, Jordan Hand, William Conley, Jeff Clifton for your top 5. Then Chris Parkman, Dylan Carrier, Josh Kreider, Bryce Shoemaker, Landon Burbage, Brant Lucas, Nicholas Hewer, Jordan Kreider, Jeffrey Goodpasser, Farrell Robbins, Keith Shoemaker, Noah Blackwell, Marcus Cunningham, and then you have Nathan Brookover, Melvin Behringer, and Jeffrey Ledford and Steven Chu for your 22 truck field that is still out here tonight.
Yeah, it's been a really good race so far tonight. I've really enjoyed it. Considering we were saying about how there's been a lack of cautions, considering how long this race is. What are we at now? 2 or 3 or something like that. That's still, and one of them was a stage break. So I mean, it really hasn't been that that bad of an evening really for these guys, and it just goes to show just how difficult it is to get around this track and to be clean whilst doing it. They've still put on an impressive display, and there's still a great deal of trucks out there. Hardly any of them, if any, have dropped out. I think how many have we lost?
We are 3 down. Jason Spear, Danny White, and Bernard Pearson ducking out for the night. I just kind of dropped them off the board there, so we don't have to keep seeing them as they're out. But 22 trucks still in the field, 20 of them still in the lead lap. So a lot of racing here with 20 different trucks and 20 different drivers that all have the capability to win here tonight. But Brian Underwood being the dominant truck in that 77, looking to get a win here at Dover over Kenneth Cheney and Jordan Hand, who have been fighting him tooth and nail, corner for corner, trying to make this thing work. It looks like the 77 is going to go ahead and select the high side. The 76 will go down to the inside. As the lights are off on the pace truck, we are coming through turn 3 into 4, getting ready to go down the front stretch.
I'm curious to see whether or not he's going to try and make the jump early. He has the controller and he's off. What is actually a really good start there from Underwood. Cheney tucking in behind, but now this is going to leave Holden, Hand and Connolly side by side as they go through 2 and 3, trying to now make a decision as to how they're going to approach this.
Yeah, so these drivers back here, it looks like they're going to settle in single file, but the 76 and the 77 going to go side by side down into turn 3 as the 76 of Kenneth Cheney is able to get underneath the 77. The 77 looking to use a crossover maneuver, gets under the 76, down the backstretch, down into turn 3. We're working on the exit of 4 here. 76 using that high line. Oh, and the 76 is going to lead that lap there. So lead a lap for Kenneth Cheney. And the 76, looks like the 77 is going to let him go by just for that lap. Will Brian be patient enough to ride behind the 76? Or will he want to get around him?
It looked like he had a fantastic run coming out of 1-2 there. So now it looks like they get I wouldn't say a block, but it was kind of a late drift up there from Cheney. Yeah, it looks like every time out of 1-2, it looks like there's a little touch there, just a little love tap from Underwood onto the back of Cheney. Just look, I'm here. Let's go. I've got people behind me. I don't want to be behind you for too long. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and it might be just one of those situations, as a driver, as Brian Underwood, being able to be out there and in the lead so long and probably wanting to get back out there, being able to run his line the way he wants to without any pressure behind him except from Keith Cheney. But right now, Kenneth just doing what he needs to do, trying to lead some laps here. Looks like Brian is going to settle down in behind him just for a little bit, see if they can break away, because you do have that 20 of Jordan Hand, the 01 of Jeff Clifton, and William Conley looking to pounce and take these positions away. And if those two front runners are really battling, it's going to take it away from him. And then don't count out the number 8 of Chris Parkman, as he is up 11 spots here tonight with that 8 Nationwide truck. So he's just doing a great job of being in the right spot at the right time, trying to make everything possible work for him here tonight. Then back in 7th position is Jordan Kreider with Dylan Carrier, Nicholas Hewer, Landon Burbage, Jeffrey Goodpasture, Bryce Shoemaker, Noah Blackwell. Another group of drivers back here doing battle 2 wide, trying to finish the best they can as Dylan Carrier looks to go to the inside. Barely comes up across the 5. Wow, that was close. That's just one of those gas moments, for the 5. And I don't know whether I was just letting off the gas or if I was tapping the brakes, but that would have scared me for sure just a little bit, as Dylan made a close call coming up across that 5.
Well, I don't know if you've got the radio chat going from the in-car for iRacing, but all I can see was Dylan and just talking to each other. I didn't hear what they were saying, but I can imagine it was quite frantic at that point. There probably was a few words exchanged. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to find out what those words were. I don't think I really want to know, but it was. iRacing lit up with Josh Kreider talking to Dylan Carrier.
Yeah, I have that turned off because we know how drivers can get very excited and expressing their feelings when certain things happen, and we try to keep that stuff off the air, as we don't need any petitions of the stream. So right now, Kenneth Cheney is still out front over Brian Underwood, but it looks like something is happening up there as their gap is so close. So Brian is not going to let Kenneth run away with this. And this is probably a good move for Brian, is to kind of sit behind Kenneth, allowing Brian to maybe save his tires just a little bit for later in the race. As we are now over the halfway mark, breaking lap 1. We're working on lap 102 of 200 with Kenneth Cheney out front now over Brian Underwood and Jordan Hand.
Yeah, this is quite interesting out the front. I like watching this kind of stuff because this gives you a little bit of ammunition and stuff to think about on the race after. You're kind of thinking to yourself, now, is Underwood just biding his time? Is he just tucking in behind because he knows that at this pace that they're going, that Jordan's he's not struggling, but he seems to be unable to actually close them down if he wants to. But at this point, if he's not flat out, if Underwood's not pushing as hard as he normally is, that means that all he's doing is essentially saving tyres. We were talking about, I can't think who it was. It was Chris Parkman, who's been making his way steadily up through the field. As Chris Parkman just takes another position away and moves up into 5th in front of William Conway. This is actually a superb race from Chris Parkman.
Yeah, Chris is doing an outstanding job here at Dover, making his way up through the field, currently up 12 spots to your biggest mover of the night so far. And I want to count him out just as of yet, as plenty of racing here. Still at least 96 laps remaining as we are on lap 105 of 200. But Kenneth Cheney out front over Brian Underwood, Jordan Hand, Jeff Clifton, and Chris Parkman for your top 5. Then William Conley, Jeff Kreider, Dylan Carrier, Nicholas Hewer, and Bryce Shoemaker for your top 10.
I'm just having a quick flick through, and Parkman is putting through some absolutely phenomenal lap times. He's 23:42 was his best, or so it says, but 23:88 was his last one. He was into the high 23s. Well, 23:88, still on that last lap with a 24:04 this time round, on pace with with Cheney and Jordan Hand, who both did a 24:04.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch out for. He's just coming slowly but surely, but he's up to that 4th spot. Chris Parkman moving that 8 machine forward, that's for sure. Probably not getting the start that he wanted. Obviously, up 13 positions from the start. And doing a fantastic job here tonight. A little over halfway completed here tonight, as some drivers may be having not quite the run that they wanted, but somebody maybe didn't have the run they wanted or start with is Jeffrey Goodpasture, but has found his way back on the lead lap, back up inside the top 10. So of all things considering what happened to Jeffrey early, I would call this almost a win here. And we're only halfway, so don't count out the 1XI truck anytime soon, as we could see him up towards the front battling with the leaders. And then to go back here, see another person having a pretty good run tonight is Bryant Lucas. Didn't talk much about the 6 Folgers machine, but just kind of out here doing his thing. He is up 5 spots from the start, currently sitting in 15th, running around here doing some good safe laps. Right behind Nathan Brookover in the 7 DeWalt truck. Obviously out here just doing his thing, just kind of getting around here the best he can. He's up 7 spots, so had a bad qualifying or didn't put in a time, but so far so good here tonight for that number 7, considering where he actually started from. And even Farrell Robbins, another driver, I believe he didn't put in the time either. He's up 4 spots, sitting in 18th spot, but still getting around here. Truck is clean to stay out of trouble, not cause any issues with anybody. And sometimes when you're more comfortable with just riding around the track and trying to still get familiar with it, this is the place to be. And if you can follow somebody around here and perfect your line, you're only going to get better. And maybe not this race, but especially for the following races to come.
And that's something that always needs to be taken into consideration and never underestimated is track knowledge. That's one of the big things that I found, especially when it comes to the ovals.
Oh, 24.
GT. Oh, that was a big wobble, but he did hold on to it. That was superbly held on to. Actually, all credit where it's due. It's not easy to catch with this steep of the banking. Once these things start to go, especially with the banking as aggressive as it is, it's very easy for that car to slide one way and then the other, and for it to be very difficult to catch. So, all credit where it's due. That was a superb piece of driving there.
Yeah, Dylan Carrier was running up front. Not quite sure what happened. Kind of got involved in something, but has found himself in the back and now fighting the truck to keep manage control of it. But lives for another lap here towards the back here tonight. But right now, up front is Kenneth Cheney, still over Brian Underwood, and kind of roles reversed since our last green flag run, as Kenneth Cheney is now out to a 0.7 second lead over Brian Underwood, back in second place. That is right in front of Jordan Hand, the 20, and that 8 truck of Chris Parkman.
Yeah, Parkman has come on very, very strong. Does seem to have the long run pace on that truck, and he's making it work for him. Underwood just dropping back a little from Cheney, which is bringing Jordan into play. So this is getting interesting really, really quick. Now, to see whether or not these guys can settle into their groove and work themselves around, or whether they want to get racy up the front. I'm not going to be funny, Jimmy, but if it was me, I would just want to settle in and just see where this goes for now, because whilst we're making moves and pulling away from the guys behind, I don't want to take any chances.
Yeah, I think it's still too early in the race to make any major moves unless they're given to you, or you're just that much faster than the guy in front of you, and you're not making way on maybe the drivers behind you. But the top 4 are still pulling away from the rest of the field and doing a great job of keeping this thing green and clean. Kenneth Cheney out to like I said, a 0.7 second lead over Brian Underwood, Jordan Hand, and Chris Parkman, as the top 4 tried to run away from the rest of the field. And then back to the 5th places, Jeff Clifton and William Connolly, as they battle out in a little battle of their own. And then the number 5 and 84 are Josh Kreider and Bryce Shoemaker in 7th and 8th. And then back in 9th and 10th is Nicholas Hewer and Jordan Kreider. So a lot of great racing throughout the field. It always happens here, but see, a caution flag is out for the 24 of Dylan Kreider. This shows him as a crash here, so we'll see if we can find out what happened to Dylan here on this lap. Just slow it down. I don't even think I'm going to need to slow it down. I'm just going to just loses track and snaps up into the outer fence, drives it down into the lower fence. So the truck just getting away from Dylan, putting that thing in the fence here tonight. Not something that Dylan wanted to see, but he's going to go ahead and jump that thing to the pits, as it looks like it's stuck.
Yeah, it's definitely stuck in the wall there.
So the 24 are needing to pit by means of towing here at lap 121 of 200. All drivers down on the pits going to take a full advantage of fresh tires, max out on their fuel, and you know, we haven't had any green flag stops, Mark, so I'm really kind of curious, you know, if they were to go to green from here to the end, is there a green flag pit stop in the future for these drivers?
Yeah, I'm not sure. What have we got? 78 laps to go.
Yes.
I suppose all depending on how much fuel they start with. I thought it was 75%, wasn't it? At one point, I think we read somewhere there was 75% fuel.
Yes, 75% fuel.
Guys. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably doable if you're smart, but I mean, do you really want to? This is the trouble now. You're in the Badlands, because do you want to try and save fuel and take your pace off a bit in the hope that it goes green towards the end, or do you just want to be up the front and then maybe having to take a splash and dash if it doesn't go green towards the end? Yeah, tricky, real tricky.
Yeah, so a few drivers coming back down the pit lane. Actually, it's be the end of the pack here to top off on their fuels and tires. It looks like the rest of the field will stay out instead of coming back down and topping off just for a lap. But Kenneth Cheney, Brian Underwood, Jordan Hand, Chris Parkman, William Conley for your top 5. Then Jeff Clifton, Josh Kreider, Bryce Shoemaker, Nicholas Hewer, Jordan Kreider, Jeffrey Goodpaster for your top 11. Noah Blackwell, Landon Burbridge, Melvin Behringer has made himself back up to P number 14. Bryant Lucas is in 15th. Farrell Robbins in 16th. Keith Shoemaker's in 17th. Nathan Brookover, Marcus Cumming, and Dylan Carrier down in the pits currently, getting things repaired, getting ready to come back out here. But an unfortunate event here on lap 121, bringing out the caution for Dylan Carrier. So not a good showing for the 24 tonight, unfortunate. And it was just like, it's just something like that truck just like lost grip and made a right-hand turn. It's almost like almost faulty equipment. Like I know some drivers have had problems with their gear in the past, and like sometimes their steering wheel will like lock to the left or the right, and that's almost what it looked like. I almost kind of want to go back there and look at that just one more time as we're waiting for the lights to go off on the Pace truck. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can see that one more time.
It did almost look like his wheel shut off. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
We've seen that before.
Yeah, I want to go in. Let's see, I'm on board here. I'm going to go in his cockpit and just kind of... Oh, come on. Page gyro cockpit. All right, so right here on board with Dylan. I'll go speed this up to the live, as you can see what happened. Looks like he's holding no problem. It just went right to the wall.
Yeah, that looked like wheel. That looked like a wheel shut off to me.
I mean, there's no explanation going into a corner and you're making left and you're only halfway through the turn and it snaps right. So yeah, unfortunate event there for Dylan Carrier and something like that. So hopefully whatever gear equipment problems that maybe have happened resolve itself and he can get back out there on the track. But the pace lights are off in the truck. He's actually in the pace in the pit lanes. The Kenneth Cheney and Brian Underwood will get this thing going here on lap 124-200. The 76 Chick-fil-A truck machine on the gas. We are green. So nice jump there by the 76 over to 77. The 20 getting a great start, and the 8 gonna go ahead and fall into that 4th position. So Chris Parkman, William Conley's in 5th, and then Jeff Clifton, Josh Kreider, Nicholas Hewer, Bryce Shoemaker, and Jeffrey Goodpaster for your top 10.
Yeah, Cheney and Underwood look like they're, well, actually, I'm going to take that back. It looks like Cheney's making a break for the for the finish line already, whereas Underwood with Jordan Hand and Parkman in hot pursuit look like they're the chasing pack. But yeah, Kreider there looking like he's tagged in there for the group, and the All Chrome 17 of Nicholas Hewer there trying to make that outside line work as well.
Yeah, right now, they're starting to get down, in the second half of the race, and people, if they haven't been up front, or maybe wanting to get their trucks up front now, they're trying to use both lanes right now to see what will work, and with those fresh tires, you can really see which lane is dominant. That lower line really does come into play, especially on them fresh tires. But, if somebody has the run on the outside, they're able to make it stick. But right now, the guy making it stick is Kenneth Cheney, staying out front over Brian Underwood and Jordan Hand.
Yeah, Cheney, Underwood, and Hand, but yeah, Parkman absolutely in that group as well. I think just biding his time. It looks like he has pace there. It looks like he's got the track underneath him, able to keep that, pretty much keep that truck wherever it wants to go. But at the moment, I think he's probably just taking stock of the two guys in front of him. He's looking at Hand, he's looking at Underwood, he's seeing where they're quick, where he might be able to make a move if he needs to. But right now, it looks to me like Parkman is just stalking some prey.
And that's what Parkman's been doing pretty much all night. He's been working his way through the field. He's gotten to the part of the field where, you know, he's running them fast times, and now just stay out of trouble, keep himself in position for a podium or a win here tonight, and it'll be a great showing as he is up 13 spots so far tonight. And you know, it's one of those. It's a cool thing, to especially come from the back and find yourself up front looking for a possible win.
Yeah, I agree. I know that we've been talking about Parkman, but what I would like to say is just how quick William Connolly behind but on the back of that little group looks. He has looked pretty impressive most of the evening, and he's been there or thereabouts, but he just looks like he's biding his time. He's another one, just seeing how things pan out, looking how the trucks are moving around, choosing his line. He's very smooth. Looking at the way that truck's been moving around, it doesn't look like it's under any effort. It's being very well controlled, and that's only going to do him favours in tyre conservation. But it looks now to me like the top three were trying to make some kind of a little break, as Cheney was now getting slightly caught by Underwood with Hand in hot pursuit.
And they, the top four haven't been able to stretch it out like they did last time. Now they're back to quite a few trucks still here. It looks like this would be Nicholas Hewer is sitting in P number 10, and there's still a few trucks behind him. You have Jordan Kreider, Noah Blackwell, Landon Burbage, you know, all still within reach of them leaders as they are in the back of this pack, but you know, not too far back, as we are only, let's see, Landon is only in 13th and he's 3 seconds back, so not a whole way back, but plenty of time to catch somebody, as we're only on lap 135 of 200.
Yeah, I keep looking over at the interval, and everything in the top 12 is orange. There's no difference. There's the whole gap on SDK is everybody's nose to tail between the top 12. There's no white in there at all in that interval gap there, Jimmy. It just goes to show just how quick these guys are running, and just how close this place is. If you can have the entire top 10 all in orange numbers on the interval board.
Yeah, it's just the consistency. Also, you know, it takes a lot of patience in, you know, using the right line to get a clean pass here at Dover. It looks like a little bit of maneuvering happened a little bit here up front with that 1 and 1, as they were side by side for 9th and 10th. Excuse me, 8th and 9th.
Yeah, good pass. It looks like he's tried desperately to try and make this thing work, but Clifton in the 0-1 not making his life any easier. But again, this is what we were talking about earlier. Sometimes, if you're good in the short run, then you need to make hay while the sun shines, and it does look like Clifton might actually have a good short run truck or on slightly fresher tyres, whereas good pass, it looks like that truck comes better for him slightly later in the run. But I'm talking about making the run. It does look like Kenneth Cheney, Underwood and Hand are just slightly spreading out. The gap looks a little bit more even. Parkman definitely not letting him go, with Connolly still hanging on behind, but then that gap looking a little bit more distant back towards Josh Kreider.
Yeah, they're trying to, I think, you know, at this point here is, you know, just don't let me not get too far away from them. Let me keep up with them. Let me save my tires if I can. See if I can save them better than the guy in front of me, and just stay out of trouble. There's plenty of racing left. We're coming across the line here. The start at 141, so that still gives us 60 laps remaining here. So that's a lot of time to be in this car still. for the good portion of almost an hour. So these guys, if they go caution free, we'll wrap this thing up quickly. But Kenneth Cheney and Brian Underwood just looking to get these laps knocked up out of the way. But we're still green here on lap 142 of 200 with Kenneth Cheney out front over Brian Underwood and Jordan Hand. Chris Parkman kind of hanging back there, up 13 spots in fourth, and William Conley in fifth. And followed in sixth is Josh Kreider, Bryce Shoemaker, Jeff Clifton, Nicholas Hewer, and Jeffrey Goodpasser for your top 10.
Yeah, whilst we've been talking, I've been watching that gap, and Kenneth Cheney, Underwood, Hand, and Parkman look like they're just trying to start to break away from Connolly. Connolly has just now got a gap of a second between himself and Parkman, but while that's happening, it looks like Josh Kreider has been slowly making inroads into Connolly, and I don't think he's going to want to stay there for long. I think he needs to get past, because he's running very similar to pace to the guys in front, and I don't think that he wants to get held up and left out in the dark. Who's that on the bomb? Is there somebody on the bomb?
There's somebody low on the bottom, slow on the bottom. I believe that's who was that? 29? That was the 29 of Jeffrey Ledford, who is now in the pits. Not quite sure what happened to Jeffrey, because he decided to come down early. He might have tagged the wall just a little bit.
No, I think it was the 83.
Wait. Yep, you're right. Yeah, the 88 of Noah Blackwell. Yep. I can see damage on that right fender, so probably just tagging the wall just a little bit too much, putting some damage on that truck, having to bring it in here, but able to, unfortunately, we keep it green for these guys here. I mean, unfortunate for him, because he's unable to take advantage of a caution and get his vehicle fixed underneath that. But good sportsmanship here by the 88, keeping it clean and green, bringing it down in, taking his fast repair. He's going to top off on fuels and tires and then come back out. So Noah Blackwell doing the sportsman thing here tonight, allowing these drivers to continue here green as we're on lap 147 of 200.
That's actually very smart. The whole, putting the first set of boots on, filling that tank up to the brim now, it's very possible that he will be able to go completely to the end. With 4 laps down now, I'm not quite sure that that's going to really do him too many favours. But that is the only problem with having to bring that car into the pits during a green flag run, is the fact that these laps are so short, and they manage to wrap these laps off so quickly that it will put you laps down very, very quickly. And I think that's what's happened here.
Yeah, it's one of the few reasons why not many people like to pull off the short pit, as you might go a couple laps down, and then, if a caution happens, you kind of get stuck out there laps down, and you're not even able to get back on the lead lap, even if you stay out. So a lot of people don't use the short pit option here at Dover, as green flags will put you a few laps down. But in either case, still 17 drivers on the lead lap. Keith Shoemaker being the last truck on the lead lap back there in 17th place. But 20 trucks still remaining out on the field, and it looks like Jeffrey Ledford and Steven Shu have called it a wrap here for tonight, as I see they are now currently out.
I didn't even see them actually go out, to be honest with you, Jimmy. I've been trying to keep an eye on this battle. It looks like Kenneth Cheney is now starting to put a little bit of a gap between him and Underwood, with Jordan Hand now with his mirrors full of Chris Parkman. But this is starting to get quite interesting. We're starting to pick up on who seems to have a good long track and a long run truck, and who seems to have the shorter run trucks. And it looks like Cheney seems to be able to make those tyres work for him over a distance. Now we're just going to have to see who else can do the same.
Yeah, we talked about Jeffrey Goodpasser looking to make the move on the 17 of Nicholas Hewer, using that low side here on lap 153 and looking to take away P and number 9. So that one to continue his march forward, as he has come from laps down to find himself in the top 10 here so far tonight at Dover International Speedway. So the Monster Mile taking its toll on some drivers, some little bit of luck here for others, but also it looks like the 69 of Jordan Kreider looking to use that inside line as well, as the 1 of Jeffrey Pastor moves back in behind the 17 of Nicholas Hewer. And I know I haven't talked much to the viewers out there, but everybody's been kind of quiet. So, I mean, out there, if you have any drivers that you think may win here as we're coming into the last quarter of the race, you know, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Kenneth Cheney, Brian Underwood? Is it going to be Chris Parkman, who's marched his way to the front? Maybe Jeffrey Goodpaster coming from laps down. So put it out there in chat and, you know, let us know.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the fans think. I'm not going to put a bet down. I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to give the curse to anybody. I've done that before. I've almost said that I'm pretty sure that this person's going to win only to have them spin 2 laps from the end. So I'm not going to do the same. I refuse. I will not give the commentator's curse on anybody. Still looking interesting now. Underwood with Jordan Hand closing. Look who's still there behind. Parkman still looking menacing in the rear view of Jordan Hand. But it does look like they put a fairly substantial gap between themselves and Josh Kreider.
Yeah. They've got that second, third. No. That second, third, and fourth position right now. So, Brian Underwood, Jordan Hand, and Chris Parkman is wrapping up to be a one heck of a battle here, as Kenneth Cheney has decided to roll out just a little bit over these drivers here. So a 1.4 second lead here on lap 158 of 200. So rolling down to, you know, only 42 laps remaining here, as this race is coming down to an end here tonight at Dover. So another great finish, I'm sure, to come here, as these 3 drivers are trying to figure out who's going to be on the position of the podium and who is going to miss out. But back there in that 5th spot, Josh Kreider, being our first week's winner, looking to make his way back up to a podium position again. We could talk to Josh yet again up here in the booth, but doing a great job in the number 5, as he is now sitting in 5th place. And then last week's winner, it was Bryce Shoemaker, correct?
Yes, it was.
Yep, of the 84.
No, I'm mistaken.
Yeah, of the 84. So just doing a great job. But it looks like Bryce coming down into the pit. So is this the first round of green flag pit stops?
I believe so, because I do believe that that's the 25 Connolly tucked in behind him.
Yeah, William Conley's in, Nathan Brookover's in. So a few drivers coming down here to get a pit stop here on lap 162. So we might have answered our call here. Who's going to start gambling? You know, can they keep this green? No cautions and stuff like that will really play out for these drivers if they can make this work. But right now, Kenneth Cheney stays out with Brian Underwood, Jordan Hand, and Chris Parkman and Josh Kreider for your top 5.
Well, the other piece of interesting information that's going to come from this now is just...
that was close. Jeff Kreider, Jeff Clifton.
I'm not sure. I'm hoping that Cry got that stop in time, or that he's going to have a 40-second stop go if he was speeding out of the pits. It did look like he had it slowed in time, but that was really close, because all I could see was smoke from those tyres. So this should be interesting to see whether or not he can actually get this truck out in a decent amount of time. But yeah, we've answered whether or not they can go to the end, or what tyres they've got. And I think that was a fuel stopper only there for number 1.
Yeah, so a lot of different strategies being used here late at the end. You know, fuel and maybe left side tires I can see being taken, but the 5 is down and out behind the 1. So back out on the track they come. Brian Underwood is now in. No, Mark, when I came here back in 1992, that's how long ago it was since I've been here. I watched Ricky Rudd beat Bill Elliott in a race here, a NASCAR race, and Bill Elliott took 4 tires and Ricky Rudd took 0. So, and Ricky Rudd was able to win with only taking fuel and no tires. But Bill Elliott was coming so fast during those last few races. I really didn't know if Rudd was going to be able to hold on for the victory there back in 1992. But right now, Kenneth Cheney out to a lead over Jordan Hand, Chris Parkman, and Jordan Kreider, as even Brian Underwood has decided to come in and take his chances as an early pit stop.
Well, now I was going to be curious to see about the pace difference between the guys on new tires and the guys who were on old tires, because this is going to get spicy, because now the guys on new tires are not going to want to get held up by the guys who are running old tires, and it looks like Connolly tucks in behind Underwood there.
Jordan Hand is now in. So Kenneth Cheney is still out the lead, using this to his advantage, maybe hoping that something will happen, as a lot of these drivers are really trying to get around his track and use the full advantage of these tires here. Jeffrey Goodpasser is getting... Wow, Chris Parkman, I think is... Chris Parkman goes sideways. Right at pit entry. This is going to have big implications for the number 8. Able to get it slowed down, will probably not get the penalty, but sliding down to the pits like that is penalty enough. It's a tough break there for the number 8.
That's horrible. That might be a brake bias issue, because sometimes when you're adjusting brake bias out on the track, trying to get the truck to turn in, and you do have to sometimes use a brake bias, especially on some of these shorter tracks, to get that truck to turn in the way that you want it. I mean, I know it doesn't feel like you'd be using the brakes, but honestly, the smallest touch of the brakes and a little bit of brake bias can help that truck to turn. And I think that might have been what caused the back end of that truck to get a little screwy there for Parkman.
Yeah, right now Kenneth Cheney's still staying out there, wrapping out some good laps with Jeffrey Goodpasser all the way up in second spot. So I'm sure these drivers that have not pitted yet would love for a caution to fly right about now, as they would be sitting pretty with a lot of them drivers being one lap down. But Bryant Lucas is still hanging in out there, along with Farrell or Robbins. Some of these drivers just kind of being safe, considered the 4 of the Busch truck coming in.
He looked like he left that a little late to me to get that thing down underneath the white line, but you got to take every opportunity that you can get to make up any time that you can on these green flag pit stops. And here comes the one
of Jeffrey Goodpasser coming in, getting slowed down in time. So he is in. So apparently still out on the track, still making laps. Kenneth Cheney, and at this point, being the last truck out, and the other trucks doing 23-second laps to your 25-second laps, you've stayed out so much longer. Do you try to stay out and make it the whole way and they can't catch you? Or... that's if Kenneth Cheney has enough gas to go the whole way. Is this the call? Does he have enough gas to go the rest of the way, or will the tire difference be so big that it won't matter for Kenneth Cheney? But right now, Kenneth Cheney is still staying out over Bryant Lucas in the second place. So 2 trucks on a lead lap. But Bryant, there he comes. Yep.
I was just about to say surely he can't stay out. It's just too much. It's just too much. But I don't know whether he's lost too much time now, or whether having that fresher rubber being put on later will mean that he's going to be able to maintain that slightly quicker lap time as things progress on. This is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds when they come out.
Well, in my experience, Mark, with these tracks, you get about 15 to 20 laps, 25 laps on a set of tires where you can just beat the living daylights out of them. And it looks like he is going to take 4 tires, so he is going to be as fast as possible, as the 76 is now down and out and is coming around, as it looks like he will give up the lead, as Brian Underwood is now going to take that lead, as he is behind at the 88. I think it's the 88. Yeah. So Brian Underwood is trying to gain as much time in between anybody as possible, as it looks like Kenneth Cheney is going to come out 12 seconds back from the lead.
Oof, that's a big chunk of time to gain back, or to try and gain back. I hope he makes it. I hope he hasn't left it too late. I really do. But considering the amount of people that came in when they did that, it seemed to be like they had a strategy. They, did work out the time. And I hope Cheney. Well, and as if to prove me wrong, Cheney puts in the fastest lap of the race with a 23:03. So just shut up, Mark. You don't know what you're talking about. I got it, Ken. Okay, thanks.
You got to leave it to their pit crew and their crew chief, whether he's doing it himself or not. But Kenneth Cheney looking to put that 76 machine back up front. That's where he's been. He just did the fastest lap of the race with a 23.0, faster than all the other trucks out here. He was going to march his way through the field. Hopefully the trucks are spread out enough where he can just pick them off one at a time and work his way back to the front. So he was at 12 seconds, now at 9 seconds. We're at lap 180 of 200, still have 21 laps remaining. So there is time if he can at least make up a half a second per lap until the end here. And hopefully Brian Underwood slows down just a little bit.
Yeah, the only trouble with that is I'm looking forward now from Cheney's car, and that does look like a fairly large group of trucks right in front of him. So he can't afford to get held up in traffic for too long. Otherwise, it's going to make his task that much more difficult. But you can see that he's already closing up quickly on the guys in front of him, and he is going to need for them to not move out of his way, but he's going to need to be fairly robust with his overtaking. Let's just put it that way.
He's already moved up a few spots as he moves into the 5th position, now working on the back of the 5 of Josh Kreider, as he uses the low side. And like I said, and the 5 hits the wall, is able to hold up there, but is going to lose position to the 76 and the 6. But so Kreider taking a heck of a hit there. Ooh, that could have cost him the race there and almost bounced him down in the 76.
Yeah, we can see Cheney absolutely wringing the neck out of that truck, trying to make as many positions as he can. I'm trying to look at the gap. What's the interval between himself and Underwood?
6.9.
6.9. He's already closed up at least 5.
So Kenneth Cheney worked his way back in that 3rd position, chasing down Jordan Hand. That is only he is 5 seconds in front of him. So Kenneth Cheney looking to chase down Jordan and get around him, as he has to work the underside, get under net 69, drive it down there deep into turn 3 and 4. They come around the front here, and here looking to actually get around Jordan Hand right now.
Oh, he's pushing on. That was nicely done, Jordan Hand. I think not necessarily moving out of the way, but knowing that the position was lost to him and he didn't want to get too involved, otherwise it would have cost him even more time. Considering that he's got Josh Kreider not too far behind him, he wants to try and maintain that position. So fully realising that Cheney's on fresher tyres and that any too stout of a defence is only going to hurt himself and not do him any favours. While Cheney is desperately trying now to push up towards Brian Underwood.
Yes, that's 76 making his way through the field, trying to catch the 77 of Brian Underwood. That is now 4 seconds in front and definitely closing down him quickly as we have 13 laps remaining here at Dover as we are on lap 188 of 200.
13 laps to go, 3.5 seconds back. I mean, it's doable, but we were talking about how short these laps are at 25 seconds odd. So yeah, and as Cheney is pushing, those tyres are going to be getting more and more agitated at just at the amount of abuse that they're receiving right now.
And Brian Underwood trying to make his way through some lap traffic right now as he comes up on the back of the 2 of Landon Burbage, who is trying to stay on the lead lap as he bounces off the wall, keeping it able to keep it straight right there in front of the leader. So Brian Underwood with another close call as he gets around the 2 of Landon Burbage that is now in 12. So 11 trucks on a lead lap. Brian Underwood out front over Kenneth Cheney, that is closing them down quickly. Then Jordan Hammond is in 3rd, Josh Kreider in 4th, Chris Parkman's in 5th, Bryce Shoemaker's in 6th, William Conley's 7th, Jeff Clifton is in 8th, Jeffrey Goodpasser in P number 9, Melvin Barringer in 10th, Nicholas Hewer in 11th, Landon Burbage in 12th, Bryant Lucas in 13th, Jordan Kreider in 14th, Farrell Robbins in 15th, Keith Shoemaker in 16th, Nathan Brookover in 17th, Noah Blackwell in 18th, Marcus Cunningham in 19th. And that is the trucks that are currently on the track. Dylan Carrier is out of the race here late here in Dover, but we are now on lap 192 of 200, and the gap between Cheney and Underwood is down to 7 tenths.
17th, and both of them on my screen at the same time, so now I know that it's getting close. Yeah, Cheney managing to really make that late stop work for him, and those slightly newer tyres certainly paying dividends for him right now. He's going to want to try and get in front of Underwood just to try and stamp, but he's still got the 45 in between himself and Underwood makes short work of the 45, his main competitor right now, right in front of him. So now what does he do? Does he tuck in, or does he just want to make that pass early?
Right on the bumper of the 77. The 76 has done it. He has come inside.
I don't know if he's done. Yeah.
Oh, he touched the apron just ever so slightly. I think that checked him up a little bit, Mark.
Yep. I think so. And trying to get that drive out, I think spell up that rear just a fraction. But now I think with that little bit of tire advantage and being able to place the car on the track where he needs to, I think that he might just be able to pull a little bit of a cap out between himself and Underwood with only 4 to go.
I've just seen in the chat there, Dylan's wheel disconnected multiple times as we discussed, and ended up putting them in them all, and they ended up removing them because it wouldn't turn back on. So sorry for the bad luck there, Dylan. Hope to see you next week, and we will definitely look forward to that 24 being back out on the track. But right now, the 76 has made it by the 77 of Brian Underwood late in the race once again on lap 197 of 200, and it's just away. So, the pit strategy worked for Kenneth Cheney here, and it'd be very interesting if something were to happen. Hopefully these guys could finish out these last few laps as we turn over lap 198 of 200. So it's been a long evening here at Dover International Speedway, but Kenneth Cheney looking to take this win away, as a lot of these laps were led by Brian Underwood, and he gave it up late, about midway through the race. And Kenneth Cheney hasn't looked back, as he has had some very long range speed, I guess you were going to call it. But Brian Underwood, not too shabby at all. Looks like he's going to come home in second. But right now, we should be going white flag this time by.
Yeah, the only one I was slightly disappointed for was Chris Parkman. I think that little sideways entry into the pit lane, as dramatic and as stylish as it looked, might have slightly affected his position. I think he could have probably finished up there with those top two if things had gone a little more his way. But yeah, white flag, last lap.
Yeah, white flag there for Kenneth Cheney coming home with the win here tonight with Brian Underwood in second. Jordan Hand looks to be finishing it here tonight in third. So your top three will be Kenneth Cheney, Brian Underwood, and Jordan Hand. So congratulations to your top three winners here at the Dover International Speedway for a 200-lap race with Firestorm Racing. It's just been a great race here so far. And, it's nothing like joining these drivers out here and just enjoying the show, being able to call, broadcast, just having a good time. But if you guys are interested in some serious truck racing, get a hold of the owners over there at the Premium Stock Car Racing League and join up and see if you have the talent it takes to run up here with drivers like Kenneth Cheney, Brian Underwood, and Jordan Hand. But the rest of the field, we will give a rundown here as everybody is finishing up, and we're waiting for the drivers to roll down into the waiting booth for their after race interviews. And we will go ahead and show these results. Let me empty those. So our winner here tonight again is Kenneth Cheney in the 76 over Brian Underwood in the 77 and Jordan Hand in the number 20 of Firestorm Racing. Then the fourth place will be Chris Parkman, and then fifth be Josh Kreider, Bryce Shoemaker finishing in sixth, William Conley in seventh, Jeff Clifton in eighth, Jeffrey Goodpasser has made his way back up to ninth, Melvin Behringer in 10th, Nicholas Hewer in 11th, Bryant Lucas in 12th, Jordan Kreider in 13th, Landon Burbage in 14th, Farrell Robbins in 15th, Keith Shoemaker in 16th, 17th is Nathan Brookover, Noah Blackwell in 18th, and your rest of the trucks that we're driving tonight will be Marcus Cunningham in 19th, Dylan Carrier in 20th, Jeffrey Ledford in 21st, Stephen Shue in 22nd, Bernard Pearson in 23rd, Jason Spear in 24th, and Danny White for your 25 truck field here tonight at Dover. Mark, you couldn't come down to a great finish, and with Cheney just being a monster there at the end to get all that time back to come back for the win was just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Superb piece of strategy, really, there from Cheney. I mean, I was on the fence. I thought it might have been a bit too late, but I've never been more proud to be proved wrong. To be brutally honest with you, it was a superb run from Cheney, coming from what seemed like too far back and leaving that pit strategy too late. So I'll be the first to stick my hands up. And this is why I don't do short track racing. I am clueless.
All right, the drivers are down in the waiting room, and I'll go ahead and bring them down. And our third place driver of the night is Jordan Hand. Jordan Hand, Jimmy and Mark in the booth. Do you copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, Jordan and Mark, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, Jordan, superb run from you tonight. I have to admit, I was impressed. For the longest time, it looked like the three of you were going to take this all the way. Looked like it came down to the green flag stops right towards the end, which seemed to spread you out, and then it all seemed to kind of, I wouldn't say meld into who could make it last the longest, but it was certainly an interesting race. That point when you came in for the green flag stop, did you think that was it, and this is how it's going to end up?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I really thought Brian had it in the bag. He pitted first. He was playing games. I don't know if you guys heard him over the radio, but he said he was going to pit about 5 laps earlier than he did. I think we all kind of called him out on his BS, but him still getting there first, I thought he had it locked up, to be honest. So I got to give props to Cheney for his strategy, because he drove one hell of a race and driving all the way back up there and taking the win. So I think he just had a little bit more than me on the long runs, to be honest with you. I think me and Brian were pretty much even, but I think Cheney on the long runs he just had a little bit more than us.
Yeah, I have to admit, I kind of agree with you. When I saw Cheney staying out there and just putting in lap after lap after lap, I did think to myself, I mean, he's either leaving this really, really late, or he's managed to pull off some kind of fuel miracle, and he's going to make this run to the end and hope that there's a yellow flag stop. But yeah, when he came in late, I did say to Jimmy up here in the booth, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to pull this back. But yeah, I couldn't believe that the way he managed to make that work to come towards the end.
Yeah, hell of a drive by him, man. That was impressive.
But still, a third place from you there, Jordan. You got to be happy with that. And a good points now towards for the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I should be talking to you here, guys, even after last week. It was unfortunate. I really felt like I was if not the best car, the best truck, second best last week, and Daytona, I feel like we did pretty well as well. But it just felt good to finish the race tonight and be good. Last week was very unfortunate at Vegas.
Yeah. But this is it's play track racing. Not exactly my favourite style, but I can imagine that you feel a bit vindicated tonight. The truck looked like it had good pace. It looked like you were making it work really well for you. Is this where you plan on being for the rest of the season now?
Hopefully we get a win here pretty soon. We're there. I just can't believe how unbelievable the air is in these trucks. I mean, even here at Dover, it really changed the whole, the way you drive it. Because when you had that fresh air, it was a lot better. And so I think that's why Brian, there for the longest time, couldn't get back around Cheney. And when I got behind Brian, I couldn't get around him either. I get right up to him, and it sucked. Literally.
Yeah, literally. Okay then, my friend. Well, before I let you go, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I got to thank my team owner, Bryce. He's he's been a great owner, bringing us all on, and I think we're having one hell of a season. I'm glad he was able to pull up the win last week, and I think we're up for a good season. And I just want to thank Josh and Brian for putting on the league, and just thankful for all the great drivers we have in this league. I honestly am very thankful. We recruited hard, and I think we got a great group of guys. So I got to give props to everybody driving tonight. Dover's no easy track, and for the most part, I think it was one hell of a clean race.
Yeah, I agree with you. Me and Jimmy are also up here in the boat. We were saying that we were expecting not a lot of cautions, but a few more cautions than you had, and it just was a testament as to how highly skilled a lot of the drivers out there are. Even some of the accidents that we did see, the drivers in question made the right decisions, trying to get their trucks to the bottom line and out of the way of some of the other guys as quickly as possible. Considering just how tricky this track is, the amount of cautions that you had out there was almost negligible.
Absolutely. I also want to say thank you to you boys in the booth. You guys are great.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. We appreciate that up here.
Anytime, guys.
All right, that was your third place finisher, the 20 of a Jordan Ham. But we'll go ahead and bring in our second place finisher here, Brian Underwood, and that 77 truck. So Brian, Jimmy and Mark up in the booth. First of all, do you copy?
Yeah, I hear you.
So you started off great and pretty much dominated this race, but then Cheney out of nowhere kind of come over and took over your reign and really put it to you there at the end with taking four tires and be able to close, I think it was a 13-second gap, and able to take that lead at the end. So besides the unfortunate overtake by Cheney, tell us how your race went.
I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, like I said, led a lot of laps. I think I led the most, but that doesn't win you the race, right? So,
right.
I felt like my strategy was on key there. If he would have hit a lap later, I might have been all right. Plus, I ran into so many lap cars and slow cars on that last 40 laps. I think that shot my shot there because I couldn't really defend him once he got to me. But I'll take it. Solid race, stage win, most points for laps led. So I'll take it.
I mean, if worst comes to worst, you at least had a great points night here tonight. Whether missing a few points from the victory, but either case, a great showing by the 77. Chevrolet, and just a great showing overall by the league. I mean, minimal incidents, minimal cautions. You guys had a great run out here, and it was good to see it. But from CRN, we wanted to say thank you. for putting on a great show and give you a little bit of time for any shout-outs and thanks that you may have.
Yeah, I gotta thank you guys for putting on the show, and then thank all the drivers that showed up. I know a couple had some technical issues, but I like the turnout so far. And then I gotta thank all our sponsors. A big part of this league, and hopefully keep it going strong.
Yeah, as long as the drivers keep showing up and you guys keep driving the way you do, I see no problem with finishing out this race with a full field here. Because I know from the past, you can tell as seasons go through, they seem to dwindle towards the end, but only the strong survive. But in any case, well, congratulations on the second place, and we hope to see you next week at Eldora.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is your second place finisher, the 77 of Brian Underwood. And now the guy that's kind of stuck it to him, the number 76, your winner, Kenneth Cheney. Go ahead, Mark, take it away.
Hello.
Mark, you there, buddy? You're on,
Yep, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry, I was just I was talking, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. But Mr. Cheney, how are you, my friend? It's Mark up here in the booth.
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm impressed. I've never been more happy to be proved wrong than I was tonight. I was waiting for you to pit. I was waiting for you to pit. I was waiting for you to pit. And then I thought, he's not even going to pit, and he's going to prove me wrong. And then you pitted way later than I thought, and I thought, well, he's not going to make it. And then you proved me wrong all over again. So remind me never to doubt a thing that you ever do again, ever.
No, 100%. Yeah, shoot. No, that was really tough. Yeah. I saw Brian pit, and I was like, I mean, I gotta have the fresher tires, but I was contemplating what to do there, because whoever had the cleaner was gonna win that race. I feel like so, and whoever had the fresher tires too. So that's why I waited so long. Just I don't know. Shoot.
I mean, at that point, you kind of made your bed and you were laying in it as long as you were waiting. I'm like, either he has enough fuel or he's just waiting for a caution to happen. Because a lot of times a short pit, and especially at Dover, can really bite you if they go green. And you guys were going green. And it was like Mark was saying, why did I doubt myself? Why am I questioning his tactics? And to see you come out with a 13-second deficit and then drive back around Brian Underwood, and talking to him, obviously he had some slower traffic that kind of hindered his performance, and maybe using up his tires. But that's all part of racing. But yeah, great job, and Mark will continue to do what he needs to say. But that was an awesome race.
Shit. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. As we were talking to Jordan, and he was saying that he was a little unsure, that he felt that whoever was out front, whoever had the clean air, had the advantage, because it was very difficult to follow behind. And you saying the same thing was obviously, pushed the point home. Was it really that bad following behind another truck? Because Jordan was saying that he couldn't make a move to get past whoever was in front of him without, really making something happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's right. The first two runs that I had, just sitting behind them, I felt like I had the better tire wear, but every time you get within 0.5, 0.4 of them, the car starts getting really tight, and with everybody in old tires, nobody could pass each other, I felt like. So that's why towards the end of that third caution or whatnot, after that restart where I was blocking Brian for 30 laps, I just knew I had to protect it, because it's so hard to pass on old tires and dirty air around here. So
Yeah, that actually does make perfect sense now you say that, and that just does goes to confirm exactly what we've been saying before. But one more thing before you go, Eldora next week, then moving on to Pocono and Nashville. Any real tracks in the next couple of races that you're really looking forward to?
I'm definitely not looking towards Eldora. I absolutely suck at dirt racing, but Pocono 100%. I love that track, so that's one of my better tracks, I feel like, on this sim. So
In all fairness, I have to agree with you. I'm a bit of a Pocono fan. I love that place. I actually tend to do fairly reasonably well there. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I've never actually seen Nashville Super Speedway, so that should actually be an interesting experience for me as well. But before I let you go, is there anybody who you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just honestly, Brian and Jordan, like them two, we raced all night, and it was tight at some points. So it was kind of scary, but it was a lot of fun. So I just want to give a shout out to them for just keeping it tight but fun, clean racing. So.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, it's been a pleasure having you up here in the booth, and congratulations on your win. Well deserved.
All right, thank you. Y'all have a good night.
You too. And that's the 76 of Kenneth Cheney coming away a winner here at Dover. 200 laps, with the Premier Stock Car Racing League, just getting it done here. And you can see here, perfect timing as we have him doing a burnout here across the start finish line at the end of our broadcast. But yeah, great race by all drivers out here. If you're all listening, you all come back and you're listening to the commentary. I mean, we love when the drivers come out to race, and there's the skill level is from, the slow guy to the fast guy, and it can vary from track to track, and you're not going to get any better unless you get out there, get time on track, get around people, maybe your own skill level or people that are faster than you, and you can pick up new tips and tricks and just get better overall for the whole service. And if you stick with one league, you'll find yourself when you go to officials how much quicker you can be in the general public. Although, even if you tend to be like a mid-pack driver or back-of-the-pack driver within your league. So a lot changes getting out there and getting the time in the vehicles. But another great race here. We'll go ahead and do a show and display the rundown of the results one more time, with Kenneth Cheney winning over Brian Underwood, Jeff and Jordan Hand for your 1, 2, 3, and Chris Parkman, Josh Kreider, Bryce Shoemaker, William Conley, Jeff Clifton, Jeffrey Goodpaster, Melvin Behringer for your top 10, Nicholas Hewer, Bryant Lucas, Jordan Kreider, Landon Burbage, Farrell Robbins, Keith Shoemaker, Nathan Brookover, Noah Blackwell for your top 18, and for the remaining drivers will be Marcus Cunningham, Dylan Carrier, Jeffrey Ledford, Stephen Shue, Bernard Pearson, Jason Spear, and Danny White. So again, thank all the drivers that came out tonight. Thank you for all the viewers that showed up. If you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up, share, like, subscribe, hit the button, do everything you can to get these drivers the the publicity that they need, from all the sponsors that go into here and all the time that they take to put on a show here of a hobby that they enjoy to do here on the iRacing service. But I think for me and Mark, until next week, we will see you at the track.
Take care, people.